What's good, everybody? Welcome into Prime Time Early Edge. I'm your boy, the coach. This is your sports betting brand of record. We are powered, as always, by the almighty SportsLine, the best value in all sports betting, and it is not close. All the odds on this particular show, powered by the king of all sportsbooks, BetMGM. Now, who was it earlier today that said the early slate was going to be blah? C.J. Stroud is on line one. 470 yards, a 70-plus yard touchdown drive to win the game in 46 seconds. How about Josh Dobbs? Didn't even practice with the first team. Didn't throw one pass to anybody. Comes in, throws 2 touchdowns, runs for 66 yards, runs for another touchdown to beat the Falcons as he just showed up 2 days ago? That's what we had today. It's bringing the stars to the show. I want to hear from the crew. I want to hear what they thought was the biggest surprise or just good performance today. You know we go 6 wide on Primetime Early Edge. Counselor is here. Proppy is here. AB is here. Coach Phil is here. And, of course, the maestro, Larry Hartstein, is here quickly because we got a big-time game to get to tonight. But so much happened today. Larry, let's start with you. What was your biggest takeaway from this afternoon?
How foolish the Carolina Panthers front office must feel, and I backed them today thinking they were going to build on last week. But to watch what C.J. Stroud did and then to watch Bryce Young throw the ball to Kenny Moore a couple of times and then another interception late, just telegraphing the passes. I know he doesn't have tremendous weapons around him, but the dichotomy is just got to be painful for Carolina.
Kenny Moore at one point today outscored the Carolina offense by himself. 2 pick sixes. It was absolutely ridiculous. Coach Phil, what did you make it today?
I thought today was awesome, by the way. You know, Stroud was great. I loved watching those games. But just watching the Raiders come out with a little bit more intensity and get that first W with Antonio Pierce, I thought I saw a former player take a bunch of current players and go out there and play good football, play more inspired football and gave better effort. So I was impressed by the Raiders today.
24-0 at halftime. The last score I saw was 30-6. The Giants were awful. They lose Daniel Jones again, this time to an apparent knee injury. He just went down, didn't get touched. Next play, didn't get touched. Wait a second. It looks like we have a fumble in the Dallas Eagles game. Hold on. We're watching this in real time. They had timeouts left to see what they say here. The ball's at the 31. I think the Eagles have the ball back, but 47 seconds to go. 5, it's 4th down. They're going to kick it back to the Cowboys. They'll have no timeouts left and have probably 60 or 70 yards to go. AB, what did you make it today?
Yeah, Josh Dobbs is a special dude. The Arizona Cardinals, dead. Locker room, dead. That team is done for the rest of the year. They're toast. Great pickup by the Vikings. And what about the Ravens? Lamar Jackson continues to be on fire completing passes. He's having an amazing season so far.
You were the one that pointed out the Cardinals having a dead locker room. We talked about the Rams without Matthew Stafford. Those 2 games today, those 2 teams outscored 47-3. Ouch. Proppy, what do you make it today?
The Baltimore Ravens systematically destroyed the Seattle Seahawks. I thought that game would be competitive. I still think Seattle has a very talented roster. But, Baltimore is firing on all cylinders in all 3 phases. Tip of the cap to Gus Edwards, set Ravens franchise record for the most touchdowns in a 3-game span with his 6th touchdown on today.
I'm still a little bitter at the Seahawks. I had the over. You can't score 1 touchdown for me today? Not one? Not one? Now, Counselor, you had a really, really good day, especially here on the show. Your thoughts?
Yeah, my show picks were 4-1. I was 2 yards away from being 5-0. I needed Jacobs to get 2 more yards at the end there. But, really good day. But, AB and Proppy really spoke to what I spoke about at the end of the show on our NFL kickoff show where I had all of those picks, and it was the Ravens. Are they for real? Seattle, are they for real? And I think we kind of found out the answers to that. I'm not saying Seattle's terrible, but I just don't think they're any match for some of these major NFC teams. The Ravens, on the other hand, if they can capture some home field and go on a run at the end of the season, they can beat any of these AFC teams, including the 2 teams we're going to talk about tonight.
It's going to be very, very important because in the AFC, the best record has 2 losses. In the NFC, it's the Eagles. They have 1. So right now, every game matters so very much. The Chiefs win this morning, scored no points in the second half, still beat the Dolphins. The Commanders got it done just like we talked about on the show. So a lot of good things happened this afternoon. But tonight on paper, it could be the best Sunday night football game of the year. We're going back to the same stadium, the same city where Damar Hamlin went down and died on the field and then was brought back. And what an emotional week that was. We're right back in Cincinnati tonight. but this is a new Bengals squad. They have won 3 in a row. Joe Burrow looked like a new man last week against San Francisco. The Buffalo Bills, away from Buffalo, 1-3. At home in Buffalo, 4-0. So it's time for Coach Phil's keys to the game. Coach Phil, let's start with the visitors, Buffalo Bills.
Absolutely, Coach. You nailed a bunch of great points right there. So let's just talk about something that needs to happen for the Bills offense. Need advanced and just absolute great execution on offense, because they're going to have the right schemes. They have the right talent. But again, it's going to come down to the players throwing and catching, the line blocking, and then the running backs hitting the holes. This is going to be one of those games that's going to be on the players. You have 2 sound football coaches. Again, Josh Allen leads the NFL. He's in completion percentage. He's another guy who's having a great Pro Bowl season. Stephon Diggs leading the league in catches. All those things are great. But it's going to come down to those guys making plays against this Cincinnati Bengals defense, who has had them 2-5 in the last 7 times that they've met each other. So that's just going to be an exciting matchup to watch. The second thing is that Buffalo Bills defense. All right, they are unbelievably sound 2-safety defense that's going to have Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer back there. They're led by a 4-down pass rush with a little bit of pressure. They have 28 sacks on the year. They're doing a great job of affecting the quarterback. That's 4th in the NFL. They're 3rd in points allowed with only 17. So Sean has them playing great defense again. But the one area that Mixon's probably excited about is they're allowing 4.8 yards per carry to running backs. And then Sean McDermott versus Zach Taylor, 2 head coaches calling plays. What more do you want?
To your point, Joe Mixon has run for at least 50 yards this year in 6 of the 7 games thus far. Probably let's come to you for our very first best bet. You heard Phil say mission critical for the Bills offense. And when they're running on all cylinders, Josh Allen is doing what?
Yeah, he's using his legs, Coach. He's obviously a very versatile quarterback, a dual threat option, and a very good running quarterback. So, yeah, I like him to go over 26.5 rushing yards. Gave this out on the Friday prop show at this number. This number's ticked up a few yards. I believe it's presently 29.5, maybe 30.5. I'm still comfortable playing it there. Josh Allen just has a knack for running, especially if we look at his primetime performances. He averages significantly more rushing yards in prime time than he does in just regular games. Also, this number is low and discounted largely, in fact, because of a shoulder injury that he had earlier in the season. And last week, 7 carries, 41 yards. Looked very spry to me. His practice participation was good this week as well. Talked about feeling healthier and healthier every single day and being close to 100%. So I think he's going to rely on his legs, obviously in a game that projects to be high scoring. We'll see him hopefully eclipse 30 rushing yards tonight, Coach.
That's our first best bet of the night. By the way, quick update here. The Eagles absolutely throwing this thing away. An awful rushing the passer penalty on the Eagles. Then a long pass to CD Lamb. They're all the way down to the 15-yard line, 27 seconds to go, down 5. They have to score a touchdown to win. This would be a miracle. This would do so much for Dallas and the Eagles. My goodness, up 28-17 and have done nothing since. So,
hey, Coach, real quick, can I bring something up? So I wanted to show we had the SportsLine AI prop model up there with PropStar's pick. Now, I know that he had made that on the Friday show, but we included it, and I'll show you here real quick. If you see right now, the number is at 29.5, but if you look right below it, the AI player projection model has him at 44.8 yards rushing tonight. So that's why we included it. Even though this pick was given out a couple days ago, the model still loves over 29.5 where it sits right now, has him going 44.8. So I just wanted to clear that up of why we included that on there. Even though it's really live, it's still good.
Yeah, we've started. If you guys have noticed, if we give out the game, the number early, we'll put it separately if it's 5 or 6 or 7 yards away from where it used to be. All right. Second down or first down, and there's another flag. This game just will not end. All right, Maestro, let me come over to you because this has been one of those situations that the Buffalo Bills, they've got to find different ways to do good things. What do you like tonight?
Well, Coach, I'm taking a gut punch right now with the Eagles losing both their starting corners on this last drive, but I do love Dalton Kincaid tonight. I think this guy's going to get at least 40 receiving yards. George Kittle went 9 for 149 last week against this same Bengals defense. The safeties for the Bengals, we know that's one of the weak spots of the defense after they lost Von Bell and Jesse Bates. And Dalton Kincaid, 15 targets, 13 catches the last 2 weeks. Dawson Knox is out. This guy is basically their only tight end. He's on the field all the time, very athletic. Once had over 200 yards in a game in college. I'll take Dalton Kincaid to get at least 40 yards.
Our second best bet of the night. Dak Prescott sacked all the way back at the 22. The clock is running. 8, 7, 6 into the end zone. Oh, 5 seconds to go. It'll be third and basically the game from the 22. 1 play left in the game. Look at Proppy. He's just dying over there. Just talking over there. There's so much in play. The spread was 3. The over was right around this number. So a lot going on right now. So I hate to ask you to do this, Phil, but we got to go to the Bengals.
Sure.
Keys to the game. What do we got?
All right, don't interrupt me in the middle of these bets. So the first key to the game for Cincinnati is the Burrow's healthy and he's red hot right now. I mean, he's got averaging 78% completion percentage over the last 3 games during that win streak they had. And then, Coach, I'll tell you, when I saw him under center last week against the 49ers, they ran a power pass. It was a 5-step explosion because they're pulling the left guard. He hit that 5th step, planted and threw an in-breaking route to Chase. I'm like, oh, he's back. So this guy's ready to go. Jamar Chase is averaging over 8 receptions a game. I love that guy. He's a special talent. His run after catch is probably the best in the NFL. Joe Mixon, this guy's running really well right now. His success is critical to how this Bengals team really succeeds on offense. So looking for him to be fast and physical against that Buffalo defense that's struggling against the run versus running backs in particular. T. Higgins is looking to break out. He had 5 catches last week for 69 yards. We all love Tyler Boyd. He's going to come through again, have a touchdown, and he's a smart, competitive guy that everybody likes. And this offense is just fun to watch. Second thing, and probably the most important thing, is Lou Anarumo has contained and confused Josh Allen, which very few people have done. And he's used defensive ends Sam Hubbard, all right, and Trey Hendrickson on the other side to create great cage pass rush that keep him in the pocket and force him up to the linebackers where they've done a good job corralling him. The matchup of the receivers is something really important to look at. They're 3rd in the NFL at shutting receivers on the outside. So with Gabe Davis and Shakir and all these guys coming through, they've done a good job of shutting them down. Teams have gained 370 yards a game, but they forced 10 turnovers, 13 turnovers this season so far. And one thing that Maestro pointed out is tight ends have really done a great job against these guys. They're allowing 120 rating to tight ends, and that should allow Kincaid to get loose tonight. So I'm just wondering if Josh Allen will continue to put up numbers, or does Lou have his number?
Yeah, that's a very, very good question. And the Bengals, they look great and healthy last week. What a finish. What a finish.
Yes. I couldn't even wait.
They completed it to CeeDee Lamb at the 2, and he got stopped short of the end zone. No time left, but he caught it at the 2 and nearly went in. 28-23, Eagles cover. What was anybody remember the total in this game? Anybody remember the total? I don't remember.
46.5, I believe.
46.5, so the over comes in as well. I bet the Eagles live because I always listen to the counselor, and I had them at plus 2.5 on top of my spread on CBS Sports HQ. You're welcome, America. You're welcome. Now, Proppy, I'm coming back over to you. You know, you're going to feel a lot better now. You'll be a lot more relaxed the rest of the show. You have a best bet on the Bengals side. Who do you like?
I do. Coach Phil mentioned him. We're talking about T. Higgins. I like him to go over 54.5 receivers tonight. Put this one out on the site at 49.5. Obviously, some good closing line value there, but I'm still comfortable with this number. It's been an interesting season for T. Higgins. He's in a contract year, back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons to start his career. Got off to a slow start, then had a rib injury, has really been ineffective, and then ultimately missed some time for the Bengals, but had the bye week to get fully healed up. Came back last week. Phil mentioned had the 5-catch, 69-yard performance against San Francisco. Looked fully healthy. Only played about 55% of the snaps, still splitting snaps with Trent Irwin. I think that number ticks up closer to 80, 85, even 90%. That's what he typically plays in this matchup against the Bills. We have a high projected total in these types of games that have, shootout potential. I look for cheap pieces. He shouldn't leave the field tonight. And if if Buffalo's pass rush can get home in my opinion, will kind of dictate how much success T. Higgins has tonight. He's getting targeted deep down the field. I think if they can keep the pass rush at bay a bit, we'll see T. Higgins get leaned on heavily. I am a sucker for a discount, so we're going to go over 54.5 receiving yards tonight.
Yeah, on the other side, it kind of feels like Jamar Chase is in the same area as A.J. Brown. I missed that when he had 66 yards, but his number is big. Jamar Chase's number is big. We'll talk about him in a second opposite T. Higgins. But Sia, I've already played exactly what you like tonight because I wanted to take the point out of it, the 1.5, whatever your book tends to have. And I watched a team last week look amazing. I watched another team not look amazing. What do you like?
Yeah, and I see the line. I put this in on SportsLine, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 days ago. And at BetMGM, it's still minus 125. So nothing has really changed too much, which I like. Listen, I think the Bengals are the better team right now, and they're at home. So here's the thing. The Bills, first of all, let me start with this. Lou Anarumo, he's one of the few defensive coordinators, and I know Phil just talked about him glowingly. He's one of the few defensive coordinators that when he's DCing a team, like you need to worry a little bit, because I think he throws different things at offenses that most defensive coordinators don't. And we've seen him contain Josh Allen in the past. But with all of that said, I think this Bills defense, even with Rasul Douglas added, I think it's a really porous defense, especially on the back end. And when you see Joe Burrow, how efficient he was last week, 28 of 32, and actually ran the ball like that. To me, that's very good evidence. He almost had, I think, 45 yards or so. That's very good evidence that he is fully healthy. Jamar Chase is healthy. You got T. Higgins. And by the way they ran their offense, they ran a little bit of play action. It really opened things up for Joe Mixon as well. So as well as the Bills offense might function, and oh, by the way, there may be a lingering shoulder injury for Josh Allen. I'm just putting that out there. For the last 2 weeks, we've seen him try to shake that off mid-game. With all that said, I think this Cincinnati Bengals offense is humming way too well. I respect Lou Anarumo's ability to disrupt Josh Allen here and there. Cincinnati's at home. This honestly should be Cincinnati minus 3.5, in my opinion. I'll take the money line minus 125.
Truer words have never been spoken. The Bengals are playing great football. They won 3 in a row, and then they had the bye week. They're healthy. Joe Burrow looks as fast and as quick as he's looked all season long, which brings us to your favorite part of the show, ladies and gentlemen. What will Josh Allen, what will Joe Burrow do tonight, and where can they not throw the football? It's time for the no-fly zone. AB, you're up, big boy.
Let's go. All right, we're going to start with Josh Allen here. And both quarterbacks, I mean, to be completely honest with you, what can you really say negatively? All right, Josh Allen leading the NFL in completion percentage. We've talked forever about Lamar Jackson, and Josh Allen is even better. Now, if you are brand new to the early edge, brand new to the no-fly zone, on the top left, you'll see the Bengals secondary defensive completion percentage rankings across the NFL. Below it, our SportsLine interception simulation percentages, 99% for old Joshy Allen tonight. And you'll see below that his interception splits. 62.5% of his interceptions this year playing from ahead. 62.5% road games. Coach, you mentioned it. This is a team that's completely different, playing at home, playing away. On the right side, you'll see Josh Allen's stats, 101.5 passer rating, completion percentage, 2,000 yards plus, 17 TDs, 8 interceptions. And top right, the no-fly zone with Josh Allen. He is going to get pressured and put the ball in the air in the middle of the field, and the short to deep right are trouble areas for him. Now, with Josh, he will use his legs, but as Sia mentioned, there is a lingering shoulder issue. Long story short, Josh is putting one up, as he usually does. You see those numbers there, 8 interceptions, but they also win a lot of games. They just play aggressive. That's how they get down. Now, let's flip over to Joe Burrow, because here's the interesting portion, okay? So again, look at the Bills secondary. Not bad. Short left, short middle, top 10. Deep middle, top 10. All right, 71% chances to throw a pick tonight for Burrow. All right, his interception splits, 75% playing from ahead, very similar to Burrow, or very similar to Allen. Second half, 100% of his interceptions. And again, it's because they're an aggressive team. However, here's the interesting part. So you see the no-fly zone there for Burrow. Short left, middle of the field, intermediate to the right. These are his trouble areas. But I would love Coach Phil's thoughts on this, because we talk about the Bills pass rush. However, Joe Burrow is arguably, if not the fastest quarterback in the NFL at getting the ball out of his hands and into his receiver's hands just in the field of play. So it comes down to, you could bring a rush and have great success doing it and still not reach him because he's so fast at getting the ball out that it actually negates your pass rush and hurts your linebackers and secondary. So pay attention to that. But Josh Allen definitely putting one up. Joe Burrow, yeah, I think he's putting one up tonight as well. Now, let me pull it back up here so that you can see my picks. I've got 3 of them tonight. First one, over 2.5 turnovers at plus 100. All right, that counts interceptions, fumbles, both teams, every player, etc. Second, Bills-Bengals over 3.5 field goals at plus 125. I can see a couple issues in the red zone, and then not only kicking field goals from there, but you have 2 kickers that can go from 60. So I think that they'll be aggressive in using those guys. Lastly, Bills-Bengals, both teams to score 20-plus points at minus 140.
I like all 3 of those. Coach Phil, your thoughts?
Yeah, just talking about Josh Allen, he's getting like a playoff type of a preparation from Louis Anarumo with the double A gap mug stuff, the overload, nickel slot pressures, all the stuff that he's going to bring out for that last playoff game that struggled him, he struggled with, that troubled him. You're going to see that stuff again. So that's where you start to wonder if Lou's going to scheme him up and he's going to throw a ball that we just talked about with AB saying they're aggressive. They're aggressive downfield decision-making football teams. He could score. He got 3 touchdowns in the pick. That's just the way Josh lives his life. And they're almost willing to live with it, and talking about Burrow, just his quick release is a factor, but again, he's like a 6'2" player. So the ball can get batted down from time to time and tipped up, but I don't think he's going to throw one tonight, AB. I think he's at home. He's healthy, but if he does, it would be to the 2 safeties, Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer. Let's talk about that for a second. Most teams don't have 1 safety with ball skills, and then this team has 2. So I think to discount the effectiveness of those 2 ball hawking safeties that play in that 2 safety defense, I told you they can try to keep the lid on these great receivers. Those are the variables that could happen for Burrow throwing one tonight.
That's amazing on both sides. So let's talk about the receivers that could be impacted by the no-fly zone. Probably I'm going to come to you first because Gabe Davis, we know, is the long threat for the Buffalo Bills. Those numbers tonight, 3.5, 43.5, longest reception, 19.5.
Yeah, it's interesting. For me, Gabe Davis, it's more of a bet on his role in the offense and someone that has close to 100% route participation than it is on Gabe Davis himself. I lean over on it as I can't help myself by not playing a player who's running a route on every single Josh Allen drop back, who has the deepest ADOT of any wide receiver on the team, and who typically has the 2nd or 3rd largest target share as well. So when we see his yards around 40 yards, again, in a game that projects to be high scoring with a lot of offense, so I tend to lean over on all of Gabe Davis props. I like them even in this matchup.
All right, well, there's another big-time receiver, Maestro. I'm coming to you, and then Counselor, stand by. Stephon Diggs, we know he's just like A.J. Brown. We know he's just like Devontae Adams. When he ain't happy, he's going to let you know. His numbers are big tonight. 86.5, longest reception, 26.5.
Yeah, and Coach, I don't have a specific recommendation on Stephon Diggs prop, but I do think we are going to see points of plenty on both sides. I definitely think the over is the play. We've seen money hit this total all week. You have a Bills defense that is 29th in EPA per play since they lost Matt Milano. You have a Bengals defense bottom 5 in terms of explosives allowed, both run and pass. I know Rasul Douglas was added, but still, both of these offenses, I think, are going to have their way tonight.
All right, very good. Counselor, do you have any thoughts on Stephon Diggs, perhaps?
Well, I'll tell you what. I think Stephon Diggs is going to have a great game, but I will say this. Stephon Diggs, I'm not going to bet his over or his under, but the other receivers here, Khalil Shakir in particular, with Dawson Knox out, we're seeing more 11 personnel, or at least we should continue to see more 11 personnel. So Khalil Shakir, somebody pointed out in the chat too, he's 30.5 at BetMGM. So I like that. I think with Stephon Diggs, I think the number is probably too efficient there, but Khalil Shakir is a guy I'd be looking for to take the over at 30.5 receiving yards.
Okay, very, very good. Let's go to the other side, AB. Come back to you. Jamar Chase. Last week, he went 10 for an even bill. 7.5, 88.5, longest reception, 24.5. We already have a T. Higgins best bet. What about Chase?
Yeah, I mean, I like it. Like it's tough to really fade any wide receiver for the Bengals right now. As Coach Phil mentioned, I mean, Joe Burrow is just on absolute fire. I think he completed his first 19 passes in a row against the 49ers, which is a Bengals franchise record. It's never been done before, right? Like, that's how historic that was. The dude is just seeing the field completely. So 100%, man. Like, it's impossible for me to fade any of the Bengals big time wide receivers.
Phil, let me come to you, because when you're inside the locker room, when you got this many weapons, and also this game is so big for both because they both have 3 losses. This is really important tonight. How do you handle all these egos?
Oh, well, the first thing I was just going to say before I get to that was just with the running game, like if James Cook can get going, then it will force Lou out of the 2 safety structure. We're going to cloud Steph Diggs. We understand this, right? But if they can run the ball, now he's isolated outside. Gabe Davis in one-on-one and Stephon Diggs are one-on-one outside. So I think watching it live, it's important to see, can they run the ball? Because if they can't run the football, they're going to play shell defense, and it's going to try to really hamper those big plays down the field to those 2 wideouts in particular. But you're talking about, Coach, you say it one more time to me.
We're talking about all these different receivers, and we all have different opinions on them.
Yeah.
When you're in the locker room and it's a big game like this, and you know everybody wants to rock, what do you do?
It's hard. So I think we start talking about it on Wednesday, just like almost like a protocol, an emotional protocol. Like, listen, we're going out Sunday. Listen, Keenan, Mike, we know what's going on. Like, because it can get distracting quick if it's midway through the first quarter. So I think we talk about different ways that we can get to the sidelines. Hey, nobody talk to him until after we punt the ball if he's frustrated. So like, as a coaching staff, you got to almost like manage the emotions, because you want players to play emotional. This has to mean something to these alpha A receivers, but it also, there's a point where as a coach, I got to protect them from themselves, and most importantly, I got to protect them from the team, because they just want to help the team win so bad that sometimes it doesn't come across that way.
I think I should start instituting that here on the early edge. You guys can't talk to me for at least like 20 seconds when I'm upset. That's what I think. Now, in the chat, and it's the next question. Yes, Proppy, what do you have?
I just want to hit on something regarding Khalil Shakir really quickly. I'm certainly interested in his props tonight. They're only 30.5 yards, very appealing, especially considering his role in the offense the last 2 weeks. The one caveat or concern I have regarding Shakir is last week, obviously we know Dawson Knox wasn't available, so he did have a large snap share, but Quentin Morris was also inactive. He is the Bills' 3rd tight end. He will be active tonight. I am slightly concerned because of how much 12 personnel Buffalo was running early in the season that they might be inclined to go back to that, and as a result, we're going to see a somewhat reduced role for Shakir.
So what you would need to consider in that, Proppy, is my 3rd tight end better than my 3rd receiver, right? And most of the time the answer is no, or else you would have been playing. So it can be a factor for sure, but like when you're talking about those reserve 11 personnel, 12 personnel type decisions, those are those conversations that oftentimes happen.
Hashtag next level right there, ladies and gentlemen. You think you can do that? You want to do the work? I didn't think so. By the way, the Shakir number is 33.5 on his receiving yards. If anybody at home is so inclined to play it or fade it, as that's what I think you were trying to say, Proppy. Yes? We would fade him?
No, I like his over. I'm just
Okay.
apprehensive a little bit because I think he could potentially play a few less snaps tonight.
Okay.
I was trying to soothe his apprehension a little bit. You know what I mean?
Hey, Coach,
Yes,
BetMGM, because I said this earlier, I want to make sure everybody understands. BetMGM has it at 30.5. I have no concerns. I think you should take the over. Just putting that out there for everybody.
Shakir, take the over. All right. Maestro, let me come over to you, because I mentioned at the top of the show that Joe Mixon has gone north of 50 yards rushing in 6 of the 7 games this year. His number tonight is 60.5 against this Bills defense. You think Mixon has a game?
Yeah, I mean, it's tempting against this Bills defense, but Ed Oliver did come back last week, and Rasul Douglas does shore up the back end a little bit. Joe Mixon, to me, is just always inefficient, and I never want to bet his over. I'm only looking to bet his under. So, yeah, it's a nice matchup, but I think it's going to be more of a passing game.
I feel like you. Every time I bet on him, it goes the opposite way. It doesn't matter what I bet, it goes the opposite way. His combo number, by the way, around 83.5, if you guys are so inclined. Now, a bet AB that I've already made is Joe Burrow with his legs. It's 13.5. He had 60 a week ago. Your thoughts?
Yeah, you know what? I don't hate it. I don't hate it for rushing props for both quarterbacks here. We've already talked about Josh Allen here, but Burrow will get out there and run as well, and especially in a game early in the first half. in this game. I'm fascinated because both of these teams can play very quick tempo and score quickly in the first quarter, and that speeds things up for both teams and both quarterbacks. So, yep, I'm all in, man. I like it. Also, I'll say I like when Maestro is just fading a player in general. Just whatever he has, I don't want nothing to do with it. I like when Maestro does that.
I can't wait. Someday down the road, our sports network is going to start, and we're going to have a show that's just watching Maestro watch his bets. That will be an amazing show. That's what we're going to do. All right, we are smack dab at the top of the hour. It's 8 o'clock in the east, 5 o'clock in the west. This is the crew. This is the early edge. If you're just dropping in right now, welcome to your sports betting brand of record. All right, before we get to the gem, does anybody have anything else from tonight's game you got to get off your chest? Counselor, go.
Yeah, one thing I think I normally say is I like to defer to receiving yards versus receptions. I want to point something out on the Bengals side. I do think Joe Burrow, I think the game plan maybe isn't to go deep and test guys like Poyer and Micah Hyde. I think we're going to see something like what we saw last week with him picking people apart, picking the secondary apart with maybe some more short and intermediate passes. That's why you saw so much efficiency with the 28 for 32 for less than 300 yards. My point here is, instead of looking at yards for some of these Bengals receivers, like, for example, Jamar Chase, I'm not betting his overs either way, but I would actually be more inclined, believe it or not, to take his over of 7.5 than his receiving yards total. Either way, I think he probably hits both, but I would say the same for T. Higgins. Boyd's is a little high, but I just think we're going to see more, and this lends itself a little bit to the under, perhaps. I think we're going to see both teams try to establish stuff in the short area, whether that be with the running game with James Cook on the Bills side or the short area passing game. And a slow matriculation, you could be passing all day and still have 6, 7, 8-minute drives potentially.
All right, I got to ask you this question because they're asking this in every single show, and until you answer it, we're not going to move on from Chill Will. See ya. Would you trade Austin Eckler for DJ Moore and Swift? I have Keenan Allen, OJ Brown, mixing in a lobby. Please answer this.
This is my bad because I should have answered this at the 12 o'clock show. Don't do that trade. Sorry about that.
That's all right. Chill, Will. Don't type it again. I gave you one.
Chill.
One.
Chill. You're not so chill.
Maestro, go.
Yeah, I'm glad we got that trade out of the way. The one thing I wanted to mention was this officiating angles column that I've been writing every week with Joe Gibbs from NFL Ref Stats, not having a good week, which has dropped us to 17-9 on the season. But the third and final play is the over tonight, partly because of the ref Alex Kemp, 56% career to the over. Last 4 years, twice he has led the league in illegal contact. He's very high in terms of defensive holding, defensive pass interference, and illegal contact. So the receivers are going to be looking for those flags.
Wait a second. He has 2 games. He was doing the Eagles game, and he has the game today too? Interesting.
Hey, somebody asked about that this morning on the show, Maestro, where they can find that on the website. It's just under your name, correct?
It's under SportsLine staff because it's a co-byline with me and Joe Gibbs. It's under Analysis NFL, and I tweet it out every Thursday or Friday.
All right. I love it. If you're not a SportsLine member, as I've been saying for 3 years, what are you doing? I can only lead you to the water. I can't help you drink. You know what I mean? By the way, everybody in the chat understands right now I'm on absolute fire when it comes to HQ. Ray says, Coach, we need your pick for this game. What's the play? Let's have a bone. I'll throw you one. I'm all over. What did I pick on HQ? Yeah, the Bengals tonight. I'm 2-1 this week. I'm now 25-18, and I am mopping the floor with pick 6 or cover 3 or whatever is the show that we're head up against. Early Edge is the show. Sorry, Will. I call him cover 3 every week, and it just irks him to no end. Oh, wait. We have a pick 6 talent on the show. I better watch what I say over there in the top right. Oh, splitting time, Proppy. Splitting time. Now, it's that time of the show. If you're brand new to our little show here, we like to have a good time. We like to pick the first touchdown score of the game. It's got to be at least plus 1,000 or higher to make it a little bit more difficult on us. And if we cash, then we get a little thing next to our name, and we get into the club when others do not. So, who goes first? Well, we have a couple of 3-time champions. See you, Najad. As always, you get to go first, sir. What do you got?
Yeah, notice me yet again not reaching for the chalk here. I'm going with the long ball, and it's perhaps the long ball that will be connected with Khalil Shakir for the first touchdown, plus 2,400. Listen, I do think, first of all, I think we see Josh Allen maybe be a little bit more successful with that 11 personnel, but I think Khalil Shakir is going to be on the field. I think he's going to run plenty of routes. And honestly, I think he's going to be the forgotten guy by that Bengals secondary. So even though I have the Bengals in this game, I do think it's going to be a back and forth. I like Khalil Tupac Shakir to score the first touchdown here at plus 2,400. And you can see me right after that rolling onto the Cub, or picture me rolling right onto the club.
I think Jada Pinkett's going to be in there somewhere. All right. Wow. It's her book, not mine. AB, you have 3 also. Are you going to cash tonight?
Yeah, when you put Allen and Allen, you've got 2 of America's most wanted. So how you like that one? See you. There we go. Another Tupac reference. Look, I'm going with Allen because he has 5 rushing touchdowns this year. The rest of the Bills team has 4. Josh Allen is the running back on this team. He's going to put one in. And I do credit Sia because you can see plus 2,400. He didn't go chalk at all. I went so chalk that I sat on BetMGM's app all day today waiting for Josh Allen to go from 950 to over 1,000. And finally it happened. And I took it, ready to go. So, Josh, let's go.
You got a screen grab of that, AB?
I do.
Well, I know you do. Proppy, you always bring receipts too. Who do you like?
I like Dalton Kincaid, coach. He has really come on strong, particularly recently. He's having a very good season, especially for a rookie tight end in this offense. Already has a first touchdown, I believe, for Sia earlier this year. Let's make it 2 to give me my 3rd pass.
All right. Well, I've been sitting on one for way too long, so I'm going to go Tyler Boyd. He scored last week, and I think tonight I'm all Bengals. I'm all Bengals all the time. I'm out on the Bills. I think they're not that good this year, and we just haven't caught up on the fact that they're not that good this year. I think tonight they get exposed, and I think the Bengals score first and score often. I'm taking Tyler Boyd plus 1,400. All right, Maestro, did you bring receipts?
Well, obviously, if you look at what I have there up on the screen, I'm desperate to just get a gem, so I'm going with the lowest possible number. I'm going with the leading rusher on the Bills, who's had 13 or more carries in 3 straight games. But seriously, the Bengals give up 5.0 yards per carry. That is 3rd worst in the NFL. So if it's not Josh Allen on the ground, hopefully it'll be James Cook on the ground getting in there first.
I don't know how one of us doesn't hit tonight. Rebecca says this game is full of chalk. So many good players. Rebecca, you're absolutely right. Now, I know how competitive the Maestro is. Coach Phil might be on that level. And as you can see, does not have a gym next. Is that bothering you, Coach Phil, at all?
No, I'm just letting you get through your segment like a professional.
You're up. What do you like?
Oh, well, I love the Tupac references, so I'll just join in because my picks have been deader than Machiavelli. So I appreciate that. I'm, Maestro. I feel you, Maestro. I just want to get a gem next to mine. So the plus 1,000, I wake up and I just see this email. And the first thing I do is like, what is the thing that's going to make Coach stop just ridiculing me on and off the air? So like, at this point, I just love T. Higgins down the red zone. I thought he'd be plus 900, so the plus 1,000 is good that we can get him. If not, it was probably going to be Jamar Chase and throw the whole thing out of whack for the night. So, let's go T. Higgins. We need you, buddy. Big fella, get me in the club.
I just have a feeling tonight it's going to be Maestro or Coach Phil. I don't know which one, but I just have that gut feeling. And I'll be hearing that scream all the way out here on the West Coast. All right. If you dropped in at the top, we've got a bunch of best bets. Gentlemen, put them up on the screen, AB. We have one sentence to go through each of our picks. Counselor, start us off.
I think the Bengals are emerging as one of the best teams in the National Football League. I think they're on their way to proving it tonight against the Bills at home. Take the Bengals money line.
All right, by the way, Jay Cade's asking how much do we put on it. These are just fun bets when it comes to first touchdown. For me, I put maybe a quarter unit. They're hard. First touchdown is really, really hard. So I do like a quarter unit. You can do what you want, but that's what I do. All right, Proppy, what do you like?
Yeah, I like Josh Allen over 26.5 rushing yards. It came off of a 7 for 41 rushing stat line from last week. Shoulder looked healthy to me. He tends to lean heavily on his legs in prime time. T. Higgins over 54.5 receiving yards. Also looks healthy after an early season rib injury. Had been plaguing him coming off his best game of the season against San Francisco last week. I like him to get loose in this game for a couple big grabs.
Get loose, Proppy says. AB, talk to me.
Yes, sir. Scores, prop bets, team bets, spread bets. It can be risky all over the board. But what isn't risky is it drives have to end somehow. You notice that I play them, and I love them. Over 2.5 turnovers plus money, over 3.5 field goals at plus money, and both teams have scored 20-plus points in case they don't go field goals, but we can nail all 3. And if you like punts, The number is at 6.5 tonight. Low number. Usually you're sitting 8.5, 9.5. You got to pay for it. So there you go.
All right. Maestro, bring us home.
Dalton Kincaid over 39.5 receiving yards, 15 targets, 13 catches the past 2 weeks. Dawson Knox is out. The Bengals are weak at safety, and we saw what George Kittle did last week against the Bengals, 149 receiving yards.
Boom. I love all of those plays. I've played them all personally myself. By the way, Matt says about 20% of current viewers have hit the thumbs up. Why do I have to yell at you all the time? Do I have to take stuff away? When you come into the show every time, just hit the like button on your way in. It really helps the show grow. In the next 3 months, we need it. Big time. I can't tell you why, but we need it. I've never lied to you. All right. You guys know, and we've got a little bit extra time. So we like to end every single one of our primetime shows asking my guys, what's the number one most important thing they're looking forward to either for tonight or moving into now? We're heading into week 10. It's really getting serious, but what's the most important thing? Maestro, how about we start with you?
Well, the Bengals put it all together last week at San Francisco, a very impressive performance, but I'm not ready to crown them, the Bengals, the same team that they were the past couple of seasons, because we've only seen it 1 week. Even though they've got that winning streak, they were not impressive against the Seahawks. They were not impressive the prior week. Let's see them do it 2 weeks in a row against quality competition.
Counselor.
Yeah, I was on HQ as well, Coach, on Friday with your guy, Will, from pick 3 or cover 6, whatever it is. No, it's pick 6, of course. He had the Bengals to win the Super Bowl, and I had the 49ers to win the Super Bowl. I actually think that's going to be the Super Bowl matchup, and I think we're perhaps on our way to seeing that, or at least seeing the first chapter of that tonight against the Bills.
How can you watch the Chiefs today and not think that they're going to win the world? I don't get that. I really get that. Proppy, talk to me.
Yeah, I think Joe Burrow looks as healthy as he's looked all year, and I think Josh Allen's having a fantastic year. Both of them viable MVP candidates. Whoever wins this game in an emphatic fashion and has a good individual performance could certainly catapult themselves as the favorite to win the MVP. So I'll be looking to see which quarterback can make a big statement tonight.
All right, AB.
Buddy, the AFC North is kind of loaded here. Does every team have a winning record? I'm not sure where the Browns sit, but I mean, the Bengals are playing well. The Steelers.
Answer's yes.
I mean, it's incredible. The AFC North is doing it. So I'm fascinated to see not only tonight for the Bengals, but how this division continues to go down the stretch, because you've got really good coaches, really good players. It's fascinating, man.
Yeah, Ravens are 7-2. If the Bengals win tonight, all 3 of the other teams will be 5-3. So to your point, Coach Phil, bring us home, bud.
Yeah, I think it's important to really monitor on both sides of the ball the running backs production, because now we're getting into November, December, and then January, in these cities with Buffalo and Cincinnati. If you don't have a run, you're not going to just go out there and throw the football for 40 yards a game in the middle of December in Cincinnati. Let me just tell you that right now. So watch Mixon, see if you can see their zone blocking schemes, see if he's getting loose, see if they're going to be able to run the football, because they were able to run the football last year against this team. Watch James Cook. If they can't run the football, these teams are going to have a really hard time progressing deep into the playoffs.
All right. And if the Bills lose tonight, they will fall to 5-4. And who would have ever thought that 4 losses after 9 games for a team that everybody thought was Super Bowl bound? Tonight's a big time night, gentlemen.
Haven't won. I didn't mean to interrupt you. They haven't won a game on the road yet, right? Is that correct?
No, they're 1-3 away from Buffalo.
Okay, 1-3.
They're 1-3. They're 4-0 at home. But yeah, because they had that one game in Germany, so we can't say on the road we got to say away from Buffalo. All right, we're going to have a good time tonight. Who's going to get into the club next? That's one of our big questions. So have a good time tonight. Pay it forward. Remember, we're right back here tomorrow. 2 different shows, 10 a.m. Eastern time for Early Edge in the morning. And then, of course, primetime Early Edge for Monday Night Football, the Chargers and the Jets. So with all that being said, there's only one thing left to do. And I believe you all know what that is. You've got your marching orders. Let's take all of these tickets straight to the pay window. My entire group, Level, Counselor, Proppy, AB, Coach Phil, my man, the Maestro. Trying to keep this train on said track. We grind for you. Let's finish the weekend strong so we can win with you. It's truly what we're all about, even at nighttime on Prime Time Early Edge. Good luck.